So it's 10 to 8 on Thursday the 31st of March, and we are leaving our accommodation and heading in the direction of the trail. We are currently in West Virginia, but very, very soon we'll be in Maryland. We've simply got to walk across the bridge. I think you pronounce it Pontomac? Anyway, we're going across a big bridge and we will find ourselves in Maryland very shortly. It's really warm today compared to the last few days because it's overcast and it's threatening to rain and maybe storm this afternoon, but that's okay. We'll deal with it. So this is the bridge that we're going to cross into Maryland. We've just done a lovely section along the path beside the river and the canal, but now it's time to head into the woods. So we're looking for our white blaze or the white stripe, and there we go. And we're off. And 45 minutes later, this was me. I absolutely gasped my way up the first steep hill out of Harper's Ferry. 5 miles in, Joe. How's it going? I see 5. We've been walking along this ridge for a wee while. We've done about 8 miles now. But what I really like is how, when they've got these big blowdown logs, someone cuts a nice gap in the log for us to just step through. That's sensible, isn't it?
Yes, smart.
At about just coming up for the 10-mile point, and we're looking for the shelter so that we can have some lunch. There's a big stone building over here, and we've come to a trailhead with some portaloos, so there's obviously something going on here and a bit of history, so best I research it and report back. Let's have a look. Oh, well, I know that bit because that's where we are. So there's lots of history about the American Civil War. What you got?
Well, it's nice crackers put into a plastic bag. I have what they refer to as a sharp cheddar, little block here, and then I've got a pile of pepperoni. So I'm making myself cheese, pepperoni, crackers.
Well, I've got mini tortillas and orange cheese.
It's jack cheese, isn't it?
I don't know, it's going to be delicious though.
Cool.
Yeah. You say porta potty, we say portaloo. We've just had a really quick lunch, put our raincoats back on, and we are heading up that way. We can feel that the weather is changing. It's got colder and darker there is definitely rain and thunderstorms coming, so we're just going to smash out a couple more hours and get to the shelter that we're planning on staying tonight. Here comes the rain. Oh well. That's why we bought some good raincoats. So it was just a very little sprinkle of rain, and it's retreated now. We've had some big gusts of wind, so change is afoot, but we've only got 3.5 miles to go now to our shelter for the night. And Joe just reminded me that that's the same length as our lockdown loop, which is one of our little training walks that we do at home once or twice a day. So we're just doing the distance of the lockdown loop, which is not very far, before we pitch our tents and make a cup of tea, because I'm desperately in need of a cuppa. We missed out on our cup of tea this morning because the cafe was closed and didn't open till 9, and we headed off before that. So not long to go now. Been a pretty easy walking today, apart from the switchbacks and the hill coming out of Harper's Ferry when I was having a jet lag moment and felt terrible. But I feel great now. It's been a really good day. And the temperature is just perfect. So this is our first bit of civilization. Well, you probably can't see it or hear it because the wind's really strong, since we left Harper's Ferry. So we've just popped out here and we're nearly at our shelter for the night. So we're just walking up to the Rocky Run shelter, which looks really smart. Drew tells me it's a new one. It's a new shelter. Oh yeah, it looks really good. I think there might be a couple of people staying in there tonight because there are storms forecast. But Joe and I are going to camp. Look, there's a nice fire ring and a seat to sit on. We're just looking for where the water is. Stand by. Here's our home for the night. We've just been up at the shelter, had dinner with Dave and Rich, which was really good. I didn't film it because I don't like to stick a camera in people's faces, but we have pitched our tent down in the hollow, and we might just play cards and have an early night. Joe's hanging his food and other items like toiletries and toothpaste that would attract bears. I'm just about to do that too. Not a bad night. Well, actually, it was an exciting night. It started off with a really, really loud electrical storm and torrential rain. And then it transpired that we'd actually pitched our tent on quite a slope. It didn't seem like it was a slope when we pitched the tent, but during the night I managed to slide and basically lie on top of Joe on and off all night, and he'd have to push me back up to the top of the tent. Never mind. It was a I think it was a pretty successful first night. What do you think, Joe?
First night in the wilds.
First night in the wilds. We're still smiling.
We've done that. And we did 16 miles yesterday.
And
so
we did
24, 25 kilometres.
Yeah. How do you feel? I feel pretty good.
Awesome.
Awesome. That's good to hear. I'm just heading back to our campsite. Just been to the loo, to the long drop, or the privy, as they like to call it here. In fact, we met a couple of people at the shelter last night. One was Rich from Ohio and Dave from Atlanta. And we were talking about terminology and language and stuff like that. And when I told the guys that we call privies long drops, they thought that was hilarious. What's interesting about this campsite is that there's an old shelter. This is the shelter that no one stays in. Well, there's only 4 people here tonight, but last night I should say. But this is the old one, the old shelter, and they've got a nice fire ring here. But the shelters here are not like the huts on the walks back in New Zealand. They tend to be 3-sided and then have a wooden floor, and you get in there and you find yourself a spot and set yourself up with your sleep pad and your sleeping bag. So in fact, this has a beautiful outlook, but is no longer used. Well, maybe it is used, but there is a new one that's up on the ridge that's very nice and very smart. So I'm just going to head back to our campground, which is over the side of this creek, which is a really fantastic water source. We were able to get our water here last night really, really quickly and filter it. And then we're going to head off and start our day. So, what have we got up to this morning? I haven't filmed a lot of it. Woke up, got my clothes back on, and the first thing you have to do is you've got to let down your mattress and roll it up and I've started stacking stuff outside of the tent so that I can start putting it back systematically into my backpack. So sleeping system on the bottom, which is my sleeping bag and my blow-up mattress and stuff like that. I've got the snacks for today out of my food bag, and if you remember, the food bag was hung up on the top of the bear pole so that bears couldn't eat it. So I've got them out, and I'm just in the process now of putting all the other stuff back in the bag systematically so I know where it is. So I've got a raincoat there, I've got my electronics, that's my toilet paper and stuff, and that's my toilet bag. Right, and those are my camp shoes. So one of the big conversations that we have every morning, well, given this is only our second morning, is where are we going to go and what does the walk look like? So Joe's going to explain for those of you who aren't familiar with this process. And I'm going to have a look at it. So what do you got in your hand?
Okay, what I have here is far out. Used to be called gut hooks. It's a nap. So basically it's an interactive map for the trail. Pretty good. So to explain things properly, we're going up the hill. When we get to the top, we turn left and head north.
Okay.
Okay.
So just head north. That's pretty straightforward.
So anyway, this is the map here. So we're at the Rocky Run shelter where we've got to head off now. So we've got to go up the hill, and then we came down, we climbed down a bit, then we keep on going ups and downs, ups and downs, ups and downs, ups and downs. They're called PUDs, pointless ups and downs. And this is basically where I think we'll stay, which is the Boonsborough. It's a mountain road. That's not where we're going to stay because we don't want to sleep on the road. You sleep. Here we are. It's just past Boonsborough, and it's called Pine Knob Shelter. That's only going to be about 10 miles, and I think that we will do what we did yesterday and say that we're tough. We might go another 7 miles after that to Pogo Memorial Campsite.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it all depends on how we're feeling. So we've got a couple of options.
Yep. The weather's going to be okay today. A few showers. But it's not cold. And it's just really now how your back is, my back, and everything else is sweet.
Any injuries from yesterday?
No. Touch wood, I didn't fall down.
Yep.
So I was pretty happy about that. Good. Had a lovely meal last night out of that foil packet, which is cool.
Awesome. Well, I better finish getting packed up and let's get going. You may have seen yesterday where we had lunch, in fact, there was a sign that talked about how we were walking the Civil War trails. So there's a lot of history and a lot of information about the American Civil War, which us Kiwis obviously don't know about. So this is an area that's steeped in a whole bunch of history. It's a nice morning this morning. We left at 8 a.m, 50 degrees Fahrenheit. I'll do the math and translate that into Celsius, but it feels, I don't know, maybe 12 or 13 degrees Celsius. We're going to walk 5 miles and then we're going to stop, boil the billy and have a cup of tea and just warm up. Ooh, and what's Smokey the Bear saying today? He's saying the fire danger is moderate. Just arrived onto a road by the trail. Gosh, that's a pretty little church. And we're going to head back into the bush. We just climbed to the top of the Washington Monument at the top of Mount Vernon, and we've got this beautiful outlook out across Virginia and Boonesboro, which is the town in the forefront. On a side note, Joe and I couldn't be bothered taking our backpacks off to walk up the really, really steep staircase up the monument. Honestly, it was like a Stairmaster workout, but it's the whole pack on, pack off conundrum. I just couldn't be bothered taking my pack off, and neither could Joe. So anyway, the thighs have had a workout coming up the top of here, but it was worth it. It's beautiful. What are you cooking, Joe?
Gourmet tomato soup with ricotta.
With ricotta?
Yeah, all out of a packet. Brilliant. It's good. Boiling up some water.
It's a cause for celebration. Indeed. We're going to go and check out this view. Black Rock Cliff. Sun's finally come out. I'm wearing my Walmart sunglasses, which have a surprisingly good lens on them. I'm not going to show you what they look like, because that's not surprisingly good at all, but they're functional. Okay. Someone said that there was a mama bear and baby bear around this area, so every little noise Joe and I have been, oh, is it a bear? Because of course I've never seen a bear except in a zoo. So that's quite an exciting thought. Oh, Joe's going for the big climb. Right, I'll need both hands to do this. Happily, it's the Blue Blaze for the shelter that we're going to tonight. It's been a good day, it's been a long day, but it's been just starting to rain earlier with ice coming out of the sky, but it seems to have improved now. So we're going to go and suss out the shelter, and then we're going to go and find ourselves a tent pad and set up camp and eat a lot. We're starving. This is extremely exciting because you know how I mentioned that last night, whilst we pitched the tent beautifully, it was on a bit of a slope, wasn't it, Joe? And I ended up rolling down the slope towards Joe all night, and he ended up being wedged in a corner. Well, they've got tent pads here, which means it's lovely and flat, it's got gravel, and we know that we're going to get a lovely flat pitch of our tent. We just need to work out which direction to stick the tent, because we've been coming in this afternoon, sort of icy flurries, it's a bit chilly, and if we have weather anything like last night, which was fork, spoon and knife lightning, it was throwing everything at us last night. We just need to make sure that we've got it oriented the right way to minimise it taking off. Right, all hands on deck. I better put the phone down and start helping. Hey honey, this is so much fun. What's that white stuff?
I think it might be snowing.
It doesn't snow where I come from. Anyway, best we get our stuff into the tent quickly.